Coming up on today's episode.
As she said, you ain't running against Biden.
You running against me.
Welcome to the Melanin Movement, where melanin magic meets meaningful discussions. Join our all-family cast as we dive into hot topics and important issues for the Black community. Hello, everyone, and welcome to our comprehensive coverage of the 2024 presidential election. Join us as we break down key moments, analyze candidate performances, and provide insights into how this debate could shape the upcoming election. Whether you're a political enthusiast or just looking to stay informed, this video has you covered. Don't forget to subscribe for more updates on the 2024 election and hit the notification bell so you never miss a moment of this historic race. Don't forget to share your thoughts in the comments below. Who do you think won the debate? And what issues are most important to you? So, shall I do a quick overview of the debate?
Yes, but before we do that, let's just say Trump didn't ask a Black man because he don't have friends.
Well, the Black friend that he had came to his rally and got COVID and died.
Well, had he had any Black friends, they would have told him arguing with a Black woman for 90 minutes is not gonna go in your favor.
It's a no.
Now you can give your takeaways.
It's a no. So
you can give takeaways.
Number one, before we give our takeaways of what happened, I just want to preface the show by saying that Taylor Swift has come out endorsing Kamala Harris, Tim Walz after watching the debate. And she gave a long statement on her Instagram. I actually like the statement. You know, I've never been a Taylor Swift fan, but now I just want to shake it off. You know what I'm saying? Because of what she said in her statement as to why she is going to be casting her ballot for Tim Walz and Kamala Harris.
And told everyone to do their own
research.
And I think that's something that people don't do. They go by what they heard so-and-so say, but they don't do the full breadth of digging into the source of it.
Yes. And I was actually glad that she, gave a soliloquy as to why she was making that choice. Mm-hmm. And I also, like you said, I'm glad that she was telling her tons, millions and millions and millions and gazillions of fans and followers to do the same.
Right.
So I'm hoping that this leads to people actually doing the work themselves and going to, Kamala Harris's website and Trump's website to also see
their platforms, things
what the policies that they're trying to implement, so forth and so on.
Right.
So yeah. So
and I just want to say, as of this taping, that post got 9.7 million likes.
Taylor Swift
in less than
24 hours. So I'm one of those 9.7 million likes.
So I just wanted to say that. That it got 9.7 million likes in less than
24 hours. Yeah, because the debate didn't even start yet.
Until 9. Right. Yeah. It started at 9. So
9.7 million likes, and I was one of those likes.
I'm sure.
And the crazy thing about her post, and this is all I'm going to say about it, is that she signed it cat lady. Signed the cat lady.
The childless.
The childless cat lady. And that was
Which posted this?
last night. It was all over social media.
This is Taylor Swift?
Taylor Swift, yep.
Oh. I mean, I kind of read to a point.
Oh, okay, but it was long.
It was long. But I read it all. And I appreciate the fact that she also spoke about how the AI post that Trump had put on his site saying that she was endorsing him, and she said it scares her how AI is now a part of the culture. So she addressed a few things within her post, but then she also took that last dig at JD Vance and was just like, signed the childless cat lady, and the picture was her with her cat. I said, Taylor, are you my BFF now? I didn't know she was that petty. Aside from Taylor Swift being my new BFF, my other two new BFFs are the moderators of the debate, David Muir and Lindsay Davis,
who are two well respected true journalists.
Yes. I was very proud of them, how they dealt with the over talking, the lies, how they dealt with that. They were very professional, but yet very matter of fact. So there was no room for, the candidates to kind of wiggle their way around, because if they did, the mics would be cut off anyway.
But of course, he is now saying that it was 3 against 1, and his base is saying it wasn't fair. It was like an ambush that they both, along with Kamala, were, So
I mean, at some point, people got to realize every time if he doesn't do well, if he loses, if it's this, it's always something.
Somebody else.
Yeah, it's never you just got outmatched, you were just not good enough. It's always something. It's always something.
Yep.
Well, before we go into the debate, there are people that are complaining about Muir and Davis. Some Republicans are saying that that the moderators didn't correct her, and that they didn't confront Harris over flip-flopping on key issues, including fracking and buyback programs for assault weapons. And she also challenged her on the Biden-Harris administration waiting 6 months before the election to issue executive actions on the border. One Republican from Florida, Mike Waltz, said that they made themselves the story and they made it about them.
So I do believe that they could have pushed her to go into depth more about certain things. However, I'm thinking because of the timing of one says something, then the other responds, and then the next wants to respond to what was just said, and then they went
back and forth.
I think
more than they should have.
Which I believe then led to not enough time on getting her to respond to certain things.
Yeah. CNN had posted earlier saying that Trump had spoke for around 41 minutes, and she spoke for 37 minutes. So even though they have their issues or their qualms with the moderators, Trump still blabbed longer than Kamala. So let's get down to the debate, shall we? I want to start off by saying the debate was almost 2 hours of 1-2 punches. But I will say, because everybody's saying that who won, who didn't win. Trump says he won. He said it was the best debate ever. He said he did the best that he's ever done. The best he's ever done, ever. However, I will say this, and then I'm going to let y'all go because I want to be fair. I feel that Kamala Harris did not give us, the public, the American citizens, what we needed in regards to the economy. She said what she wants to do, but she did not address the fact that Americans are hurting right now. Everything, like Trump said, people can't buy bread, they can't buy bacon or eggs,
Where's the bacon?
Yeah,
Most people just say bread or milk, but he said bacon.
He did. But you know what? He's right.
True.
Everything is so expensive. Gas for the car, everything. You go to the stores that you've gone to for years, and then you go to the register, you be like, why is this $400? And I only got 6 things. So they did not address that. Well, she did not address that. And I feel that she should have, because that's what most Americans, like, why is it like this? Why is the inflation? But she didn't address it. Okay, go ahead.
So I think what she did say about her plan was good, because people would like to know, what are you going to do? That's one. And I think that because she said about the pandemic and all that they got from Trump, I think that was part of her answer, by saying because of the pandemic, we had to fix this and that. And that's why it's this way now. And it's just starting to go down.
Which is usually the case, I think.
Right.
For me, when I watch the debates, I don't really expect everybody's like 10-bullet plan. I kind of just expect you to give me like a quick rundown of like, all right, do you have a plan is the first thing. Yes, we have a plan. All right, so what do you aim for your plan to do? Well, I want my plan to lower the price of food, lower the price of gas, and find some stability within the healthcare world or whatever the case may be. I do understand, like, when she talked about, I mean, it makes perfect sense. Like, you get the economy from Trump, and when she said Great Depression, I think she meant the recession is what she was talking about.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. So when you get the economy in a bad place, you 9 times out of 10, nobody really fixes much in their first 2 or 3 years of things don't really get fixed until like the 4th year usually.
Yep.
So I wasn't really like super duper pressed about like what they had done throughout like the first 2 years, because it's like I don't see anything happening. 9 times out of 10, they're out there doing foreign policy stuff, trying to square away everything that was either done or undone in the previous. Which is not usually the case. You usually don't have to spend so much time fixing or undoing things or rebuilding relationships. Like if this is an Obama to Biden or an Obama to Harris, like passing of the torch, I think we're in a different place. So you get like record highs and record things that Obama leaves in place, and this guy comes in, executive orders everything. And then now they're in a place where it's like, yo, we have to spend 3 or 4 years fixing it. But then they try to use it against you. Well, look at where we are now. It's like, don't forget how we got to this point. It was like this when you gave it to us. One, you in cahoots with the Russians, with Kim Jong and all these other people. You're not really handling COVID the way. If we really want to be honest, I totally understand COVID is the reason for a lot of this stuff. Because I mean, prices were like crack prices back at that point. Like you were getting ten and $15,000 apartments like for like $3,000 and $4,000.
Yep.
So
He
at some
was
point, people are gonna
he was
try to recoup
handed this great
all of the
thing.
like all the companies that were going out of business. They're all like the prices for stuff. Like people are gonna try and recoup in some way for some amount of time, any way that they can. The only places where prices might have stayed the same were places where they were able to stay open. Your local pizza shops,
Right.
places where people were ordering from, things like that. So it makes sense. I think a lot of like even just watching the debate, you also just have to watch it and think to yourself like the state that we're in, does it make sense that we're here? Like think of it in this sense. Like if you think about the previous Republican presidents that have been in office, you're usually in a recession when a Republican's in office. And a
Oh,
Democrat is usually fixing that recession
yep.
when they get in office. And it's just a cyclical thing. So, I mean, for me, to get back to the debate, I wasn't looking for her to like break everything down because you have 2 minutes to talk about it. And I just want to know, do you have a plan? What's your goal with your plan? Give me a few points, and now is that. And I thought she did that enough for me with the economy. Obviously, I'd like to hear more about it and more what she wants to do, but I thought she was on the right track
Well,
in her explanation.
I say that because when they had asked her the first question, she had the first question right out the back, and they were just like, "What do you have to say about the current economy?" You know, and like John Stewart said, she didn't even answer it. She talked about what she wanted during what her presidency would look like, but she didn't answer the question. So that's the only reason why I was talking about the economy and why I felt that she should have gone a little harder with at least acknowledging what's going on, what's currently going on.
Which
She did talk about what they inherited, though.
yeah.
She did later on. Yeah, she did.
But let's also remember what the job of the vice president is. The vice president is their main job is to preside over the
Senate.
That is the vice president's job. And just up until I think it started like in 1950, that is when they started to be an advisor to the president. But their job is to be over the thing. So I think that yes, she could have totally recognized what we're feeling, but she isn't the one in charge.
Okay. I want to stay on the economy for a second because she did speak about her opportunity economy. And she also spoke about Trump's economic plan, saying that Goldman Sachs said that if Trump's plan were to go into effect, that it would be a disaster for Americans.
And Wharton.
And Wharton. But as Trump said, I was a graduate of Wharton. I graduated. So also, this is not directly on the economy, but the tariffs that Trump is saying that he was going to put on countries like China that import basically everything to the US, and how those tariffs, if he does go through with that plan, then that would cost the American people in excess of $4,000 more per year.
And
Well, yeah, because you can't tax people and expect them not to raise the price to us towards us for us. So,
right.
I mean,
And that was fact checked, and it would be more like $2,000.
I think my issue with him when he talks about it is he speaks of it in a very matter of fact way. Like, we're just gonna put tariffs on them. Like, yeah, all right. Like you first, like, it's just not the way things work. You don't just put stuff on people and they just agree to like in the like if Americans are actually honest with themselves, we are well behind China and all these other countries when it comes to technology and all this other stuff. So when you sit there like even if you think about what 3 or 4 years ago you had was it Russia and Africa and who else was it that were like, we don't want any business with y'all. We're gonna come together, form our own currency, do our own thing, go our own direction. We don't need you. It might have been China. I can't remember who it was. But to me, to be completely honest, what I hope happens here is we can get back on good terms with the rest of the world. The way it was when Obama was in office, the way we were respected, or he was respected. He went around to the different countries. You spend time, you build a relationship. Like there's so much repair needed with America and the relationships around the world that, to be honest, like I'm more concerned about nuclear warfare and all that other stuff than I am. I'll spend the money at the grocery store as long as we can get the relationships around the world corrected. That's where my mind's at. Like, because to me, I think we're closer to that. Like, if I got to spend $400 on 15 things at the grocery store for the next 2 years, but Kamala Harris is out there rebuilding those relationships and, kind of like talking people off the ledge, I'm good with that. Like, I'll do that if that's what it's going to take to kind of like bring peace back to the country. Cause I mean, we're just in a bad spot. And I think Joe Biden just wasn't in a position to do it from a physical perspective. Like, he just wasn't there to do it.
I mean, he did try to, Biden, he did try to repair the NATO alliances that we've been in since NATO was formed, um, because Trump ished
Everybody.
on them when he was president, because he said that the European nations were not paying in their fair share towards, the pot. So every time something happened, a disaster happened, America was the one paying the lion's share of everything.
But I think that if you look back to remember when Bush was in office, the son, he went
W.
across the world and got dumb shoes thrown at him. So I think it's a thing with Republicans that our relationships are off. And then when
I think it's a thing with America, period.
Oh, well,
Other countries just hate America because of the fact that we have this high pompous attitude, like we are the greatest country on the earth, the greatest nation on earth, and then we go into other countries telling them how to govern their countries when they didn't clean up the stuff in their backyard yet, meaning us. They still haven't rectified the wrongs that they've done to get to this superpower. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of Middle Eastern countries and some European and a lot of African countries, because they shithole countries, don't like America.
Which, yeah, no, all of that is true. I'm just saying that I believe we get a little more respect with the Democrat in office than with I'm just thinking compared to Bush and Trump, compared to Obama and Joe Biden, like they've never been disrespected, like with shoes thrown at them. I feel like
Somebody,
a little bit more
Obama
respect.
was going down the line shaking hands, and I forgot which world leader it was. He
Didn't
wouldn't
shake
shake his
hands.
hand.
Yeah, but it wasn't. I just feel like there's more respect with the Democrat than with the Republican.
If I may interject.
I guess no.
Not to really comment so much as I want to kind of propose a question, or not even a question, but just something to kind of further the conversation. But to your point, Auntie, in terms of this polarizing view of respect contingent upon which party is in office, what does that say about our politics in terms of its division,
Mhm.
right? If you're saying that one party is favored internationally than the other, it's almost as if you're looking at two different Americas in that particular instance,
Mhm.
right? So our politics are representative of division, if we're to
I mean,
look at
like,
it in
look
that
where
way.
we at like now.
Because we just celebrated, or not celebrated, another year marked the September 11th tragedy, right? George W. Bush started a war, almost a 30-year war in a country that had nothing to do with September 11th. So he was taking up the mantle for what his father had initiated with Saddam Hussein. But there was no weapons of mass destruction in Afghanistan, but we were still there up until what, last year? Or was it this year?
No, it was the first year. I think it was first or second year.
And Biden is now held responsible for the way he
Handled it.
handled leaving Afghanistan. But the war was started, it was a senseless war that was started years and years and years ago.
And Trump signed the deal of the date that they had to be out.
So can we discuss that? Because he said he spoke to Abdul.
I was like,
There is
who is Abdul? At first.
there is a level of levity there, but the fact that if he did invite the Taliban to Camp David,
No, I think it was Mar-a-Lago. I think.
Kamala said Camp David. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
I wasn't there. That's not something that was fact checked. But he was just like, he did that because, Abdul, he feels that when it comes to foreign affairs, that he is the man for the job because of the fact that he just calls, all he has to do is call Putin and call Zelensky, and he can stop that war in 24 hours. Same thing with Israel. He was just like, he doesn't want to foresee the future in the wrong way, but he don't know if Israel is going to be there in 4 years because of the situation with Iran and Palestine. So he feels that he is the commander in chief and the better person to regulate wars and foreign nationals, especially the dictators, even with China. And Vice President Harris said that she has a plan for that as well.
Yeah, his plan is make a deal that's beneficial to him and big business. That to me, when he speaks about everything and then you see the fruits of whatever it is that he talks about, everything is rooted in some kind of deal. Whether it's the Russians were gonna help me win the election, whether it's, well, I can get them out of this and we'll dig up oil or we'll get this or we'll go here. Like everything is rooted in a deal in his sense, as opposed to like some kind of, I don't want to say litigation, but as opposed to like, all right, let's sit down at the table and have this discussion about how we're gonna do whatever it is we're gonna do. Like everything can't be like, well, like a Bush situation, like, look, just fly them planes over here, do whatever. I'll come over here, we'll get rid of this dude, and we'll just make it look like it all goes together. You get rich and the country suffers. You find yourself in that type of madness, no disrespect, a lot of times when Republicans are in office. I don't know if that's a coincidence, but it's kind of just the way it is. I think for I think for Kamala, I think one, she has to put all of that like all of that experience she has in the courtroom has to be like put to work in this next 4 years. Like she has no choice. Because to me, that's where she shines. Like when she was speaking yesterday, and she talked like when she was just bringing up the facts and kind of just the way it was like, look, this is what he's doing, this is what I'm doing. Respond to that. Like she's very good at getting to the point, being concise, boxing them in, and then making you respond if you can. Trump's a con man and he needs time. That's what con men need is time. And he didn't have that. So to me, I just think she has to just rely on the skills that she has. Now,
I could write a dissertation about my opinions regarding not just Kamala and Trump, but I look at things a little differently. I look at things on a much larger scale. Like the idea and concept of two-party politics in general is what causes dissension in our country. It's not a Republican, it's not a Democrat thing, it's the clashing of the two that caused the dissension in the country. Two-party politics was not what the country was supposed to be founded on when the government was first created. It was created with George Washington in mind because of their fresh independence, and now they had to start anew and build a new landscape for the country. But if you really read on it, two-party politics was frowned upon. And it's what our country evolved into now. And look how it's dividing the country, right? And outside of that, it's really not a competition of qualification, right? Because it's a popularity contest at this point. Look at the people. Not don't even look at the candidates. Look at the people who they're supposed to be governing.
Mhm.
The amount of ignorance, not just the amount of ignorance, the amount of purposeful ignorance that plagues the country is alarming. Regardless of what Trump says, you still have people that are, you know, blindly loyal to a party just because of, random reasons. Same thing on the Democrat side. I think regardless of who's in office at this point in time, foreign affairs can't be mended. We've done too much damage. They can make deals and cut deals to, kind of mitigate certain things, but in
Yeah.
terms of, you know, trust between countries, we've tarnished that a long time ago. Long time ago. It doesn't matter who's in office. You might have a candidate that might aggravate it more so than somebody else, but overall, like I've always said this, as a country, we're gonna fail, and I think it's gonna be very soon. No empire lasts forever. The biggest, strongest empires in history eventually fell, and the other countries and the other world powers are catching up very quickly, if not have already surpassed us. So it's just a waiting
Well,
game.
we're hoping and praying that's not so.
Mhm.
You know.
Look,
It's
at the
inevitable.
at the end of the day, the debate was done to get people to hear their side and to pick up more of those independents. I think the thing is, whoever is following Trump, that's not nothing she said last night will change that. They are with him no matter what he says. At this point, it's going to boil down to all of those undecided folks.
Well, one of the hottest questions and a hot topic that has been going on within the country is Roe v. Wade and the overturning of Roe. And Trump said that he did a great service in doing it, and it took courage to do it. And the Supreme Court had great courage in doing it. And I give tremendous credit to those 6 justices. Now, there were some things that were said about West Virginia. The former governor was allowing children to be born, and then after they were born, you put them to the side. He said you put them to the side and say you figure out what to do with them.
That's
Uh,
false.
there was a whole bunch that was said, and Vice President Harris said that she would overturn it once Congress handed her the bill to overturn it. But what I wish David Muir and Lindsay Davis would have asked them would be, would you stack the court? They should have asked, would you stack the court in order to now reverse the reversal? That's just me. Because Trump feels that most of the country wants the government in their business.
But that's not a hot, I mean, the court isn't a hot topic. That's not what we're sitting around our tables speaking about. We should stack the court. I feel like they asked the things that they thought people wanted to hear. The economy, Roe v. Wade, the immigration. It was those things they asked. So I don't know if that was, like on the at the top of the list.
I think that's a great point, to be honest. Like most people, they're going for the what's it called? Um, something words. It's like trigger words or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't. It's that's not the
The dog
exact.
whistle, the dog whistle.
It's not the exact terminology, but it's essentially terms that elicit certain reactions out of people, right? So, Auntie, to your point, they're only going to talk about things that are popular amongst the general
Right.
population. Like nobody's really concerning themselves with our GDP. You know what I'm saying? No understands economic incentives. Nobody understands these things.
Right,
So they just hear, these blanket statements and they're, baby killer,
right. No, but that's the thing that
That's
they
what
hear.
people care about.
Yeah,
Nobody's really
ain't
concerning
nobody talking about
themselves with genuine logistics.
sports. Yeah.
Nobody cares about that stuff. And this is what I'm saying about the people that you're governing. The people that you're governing are just as important as the candidates that you're electing. And the people
I
that
do
you're
think
governing
that
are not
certain
educated.
people do care about it.
Not
Certain
enough.
certain people do care about the topics. Every people are not one topic voters. Like they have more than one issue that's important to them. But a lot of right wingers, the whole abortion ban was one of the biggest things that they've been working on for years, for
Mhm.
decades, even since Roe v. Wade. They've been working to overturn that. So that was a hot issue, a hot button issue.
So again, I go back to, I mean, yes, we can sit here and talk about the topics, abortion ban and the courts and but again, the debate was done to see or get the more votes and who's gonna, that's what this comes down to. So did it do
And I think
what it was?
I think for a lot of people too, I think people are as in I'd say I don't speak for, but I think a lot of people are as interested as far as they're affected. So, and I think there is interest, but they also don't most people have, I would say, common knowledge of, the government, what they do, government programs, how things affect them. They kind of have a general understanding of how things work,
Some
right?
do.
Because you spend so much time in life, like I gotta take care of my kids, I gotta work, I gotta do this, I gotta do that. yeah, I read books, I check in on things from time to time, I do my stocks. Like you have a basic, oh yeah, we got taxes or whatever. You just have a basic understanding of things. But when things are kind of like a couple of layers deep, even though you have like a concern, I feel like a lot of people don't actually know where the concern lies, if that
Mm-hmm.
makes sense. So it's kind of like, oh, well, they're talking about, economics and this, that, and the third. And some folks aren't even able to really like determine like, well, does that affect my pay, my taxes, my investments? How does that work? Do I have to now give more money to the government programs? Like they don't necessarily understand how it all ties together. I think that's a huge part of it. And then also what they're affected by. So for people, it's just like, yo, my money's good. You're saying like they're not concerned about certain things like, yo, we over here like cool, like, yeah, $1,000 at the grocery store every week don't bother me. So it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Mm-hmm.
so just I think different things affect different people, but like I think for your average person, if they could actually compartmentalize and put each thing that they were experiencing, like, oh, this portion of my money that goes to this part of the government and that's here, and they're going to talk about this and this is in this economic plan. It's kind of like when they talked about like Project 2025, right? And he's like, no, it's not this, and I know nothing about it, and I don't know what's going or what's going to happen. It's kind of just like if you ask most people, they're just like, well, what is the project? What's going to happen? He just beyond abortion, we're talking about cutting Medicare and Medicaid. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
You're talking about taking away like pre-existing things that could be covered. You're talking about abortion being able, not even abortion, just contraception. You know what I'm saying? Putting people in jail, trying them for stuff like that. Like it, and there's more to it, but it's just like when you don't understand, you don't really know where these things fall in line. I think that's the hard part for a lot of people to keep up with the debate. So it's kind of like you stick to those popular topics
Popular
because a lot of those
Yeah.
popular topics do cover important things. I think that are important to the kind of person you're putting in office when it comes to like morality and all this other stuff. Because no, I mean, obviously no person's perfect, but if somebody's just like, kill all the babies in the world, for most people, that's an easy, we can't have that. Like, you know what I'm saying? That's just
Mhm.
something you can't really look at. But if you look at the way things have lined up, at least to me, I look at like, all right, so you overturned Roe v. Wade. Can you hear all that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's okay.
Oh, okay. But I'm using my phone, so I don't have like my microphone, like with the
Oh,
thing on
yeah.
it that can, so it's just, but yeah, so it's kind of like, I just look at, like I like to pay attention to the people. Like as an example, I remember my brother talked about getting into politics one time, and he was just like, I can't do it. One, just because I don't have the spirit to do stuff like that. Like it's just the things that you might be required to do. I don't even want any parts of. And on top of that, the money's capped to some degree. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? So that level of morality is lacking in a lot of people.
Mhm.
And for me, when he said that, it made me pay attention to it more. What are you willing to do when you're in office? So when you get voted in and you spend the first month in office executive ordering everything, then
Mhm.
that tells me right off the bat, you're working very hard towards some kind of dictatorship.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
However, whatever steps you take, but you're not consulting, you know what I'm saying, with anybody.
Right.
You're just like, yo, we're undoing everything. You know what I'm saying? We're overturning this. Like, how does a group of men overturn something like Roe v. Wade?
Mhm.
So it's that was kind of like a rhetorical question. But
Like,
He
we
was
know
like,
the
but
I didn't
answer to
expect.
that.
He's like,
Yeah.
I
but you
didn't
know what I'm saying?
expect an
But it shows
answer.
me like, okay, I see exactly where you're going with this. And it's kind of like hot topics are low hanging fruit. But I feel like you have to look you have to look at the hot topic, see where this person stands, and then look a little bit beyond, like, okay, what does that hot topic mean? So it's like fracking in oil or whatever like All right, that's a hot topic to some degree. What does it mean and why did she flip flop? Why was she here and why was she there? I do think also part of the flip flop in some cases can also just be as the vice president, I'm going with what my former president was doing. Now I'm going to be the president. So I'm running this the way. So I think that's just a part of the game sometimes. And well, I shouldn't say part of the game, but that's just a part of the way things work out. Like, look, we agree here, no doubt. He's for this. And if he's for that in some capacity, I have to be for that. But now, as she said, you ain't running against Biden.
You running against me.
And I'm with the fracking business. So, I mean, it just is what it is. But I think I definitely do agree with Chris's point just in regards to like I guess I'll just call it the low hanging fruit, the hot topics and stuff like that. But like I said, I just think for a lot of people, they don't know where things lie within what they're trying to portray.
Stay tuned for scenes from the next episode.
And then just paying attention to your own lifestyle, like understanding, like, look, bro, like Pfizer doesn't care about you. They don't care about you getting well. Moderna doesn't care. None of those companies care. The health insurance company, they probably don't even care because there's no money in your health, in you being healthy.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So yeah, you do have to be prepared and pay attention to what you eat. You kind of got to start reading the label. You got to see the keywords. You got to see what's hidden. You got to understand that natural flavor is not natural flavor.